What'd you miss?
I heard that.
Oh, sorry.
Somebody said something.
Right there for the
You
record.
know, when you're on
Right there for the record.
internet radio, you can say words like, oh, crap.
I guess we can. I thought I was ready,
Yeah.
but it could
Well-
be worse, Karen.
Well, I'm going to introduce you, okay?
Oh, thank you.
Those people who are listening probably wonder what's going on. So this is Karen with newclevelandradio.net. It is time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick, John Donello, who is in Florida because all of us are freezing up here in Cleveland.
Well, I'm fortunate to be here because of a vacation schedule for my wife. So that's why I'm here. And nothing against you folks being up in Cleveland, but I've lived in Cleveland for many, many, many years, and I've just lived through the weather. So not trying to rub it in or anything like that, but having a little bit of fun. So
Okay.
And you'll be back. We know that.
I'm coming back. Yeah, we'll be back on Saturday. We're not.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, Saturday. Okay, great. Well, hi. Hello to everybody. This is Paul Seaburn, the host of What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news podcast. Our motto is real news, sometimes strange, always funny. And that's the reason why you tune into us, hopefully every week, to hear the strangest, weirdest stories I can find on the internet, and then listen to the three of us laugh about them and hopefully get you in a good frame of mind. There's no bad news, no politics, no religion, none of the stuff that boring, depressing stuff you hear on the mainstream media. Just good old-fashioned weirdness and fun. Could be our secondary
Weird.
motto right there. So we're here on a Wednesday rather than Tuesday. For those of you tuning in live, thank you for moving your schedules around to tune in to listen to us. We'll be back on Tuesdays at 3:30 next week. You can see us on YouTube. I mentioned that because I have quite a few photos today, and you'll understand why with the stories. So take a look at us on YouTube and you get to see the photos. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on all the great platforms. If you want to read some longer forms of some of the stuff I talk about, I am the editor and head writer at mysteriousuniverse.org, one of the top providers of paranormal news in the world. So you can catch me over there too as well. So we're all together. I don't want to talk about sports at the moment, local sports, let's put it that way. Although as we were about to go on the air, I was wrapping things up and I saw an update on a story we talked about last week, I believe, the cheating scandal in the fishing tournament in Cleveland, Ohio.
I've seen some other reports on that, Paul. Yes,
It was on the national news. I was so
was.
embarrassed. Yeah. These guys filled their walleyes, which is a popular fish in Lake Erie, with lead sinkers, big lead sinkers, so that the fish were weighed almost twice as much as normal. And of course they got caught. And then they shoved pieces of other fish in the mouths to hide the sinkers. And of course they got caught. They were charged with felonies, I don't know, all kind of felonies, felony lying, stealing. They're in big trouble. So, don't do that. I don't know what to say. We're adults here. Come on, be a role model to your kids. Catch the fish and eat them. They even confiscated their boat because apparently they won a boat in one of their tournaments. Oh yeah, this is serious stuff. The reason why I was a little upset before, I forgot my summary. So I know I've got a bunch of stories on Bigfoot. We've got some time travel stories, which are really interesting. I've got some photos that will make you think that there are time travelers in the world. So let's get right. Oh, and I've got some stuff on Marilyn Monroe's ghost, and what was the other one? Well, the time travel. So let's get right to it because I don't have my notes. See, this is what happens when I miss rehearsal. So we were discussing Bigfoot before he came on the air, and Bigfoot participated as well. Bigfoot's all excited because I've got 3 Bigfoot stories here. He's even more excited than John is, and John, loves Bigfoot. So By the way, John, keep your eye open. The Florida Bigfoot is the swamp ape. So if you're anywhere near any kind of rivers or swamps or
Well, we're near rivers for sure, so I'll keep an eye open for the swamp ape, and
there you
I'll
go. Yeah.
Please
I'll
do,
look them up
yes.
on Google to see if I can find out more info on it. But I'll keep an eye open.
Keep
And
your
make
nostrils
sure your
open.
camera takes a good picture.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It would be interesting, Karen. Turnabout is fair play. Me always criticizing the people, trying to photograph Bigfoot. Here's me with the swamp. What's his name? It's a
Swamp ape. They
Swamp
also
ape?
call the
What did you say?
skunk ape. Yeah, because keep your
Okay.
nostrils open too, because they
Oh,
smell pretty bad. So
Well, anyway, but so yes, I will make sure I have my phone with me and try to get photographic evidence. I will try.
great. Okay. Well, now, so our first story comes from Utah, and I want to do a shout out to my neighbor Phil. I'm coming back from my walk one morning earlier this week, and Phil and his lovely wife Robin are on their walk in the opposite direction. So we're almost done. We usually just wave and keep on going. Phil stops me, grabs me, and he says, "Did you hear about the Bigfoot boneyard?" So of course, I have to stop, and he fills me in on this story from Utah. So thank you, Phil, for the story. So this guy posts a video from Utah where he claims he's found one of the world's biggest Bigfoot boneyards. And what is a Bigfoot boneyard, you ask? Oops, I forget every week how to show my pictures here. Let's get started. Here's a Bigfoot boneyard. So what that is a huge pile of elk bones, elk antlers, mostly elk bones, carcasses, legs, ribs, you name it. Just elk bones everywhere. Which, if you look at it, it could be like an all-you-can-eat Bigfoot buffet. Or the trash bin behind a Bigfoot restaurant. But so he wondered what exactly why are all of these elk bones piled up in this field in Utah? Most people said that it's a stack of roadkill. The Utah transportation people go out when somebody hits an animal and they grab it, and it's expensive to cremate them. So they take them to some place that they think nobody will ever stumble onto and pile them up until they all decompose. Yeah. So this guy stumbled onto it and thought that it was a Bigfoot boneyard. Bigfoot, by the way, Bigfoot was following this story and would like the coordinates, to Google coordinates so he can find it, because he saw some meat on some of those bones yet. So, and I checked with one of my friends who's a Bigfoot expert to ask what Bigfoot eats, because we always talk about Bigfoot eating apples. So he told me that, here's a quote: Bigfoots are omnivores, which means they eat both plant and meat. So Bigfoot does partake in deer and elk, berries, nuts, leaves, fruit, salmon, rabbit, and bear. So I'd like about bear and a Bigfoot. I think that I'd pay to see that on
Me too.
Yeah, sounds like a college football game. The Bears against the Bigfoots. So we always talk about apples. Apples are the predominant fruit in Washington, which is Bigfoot's home state. So that there's a big correlation there between those. And in Pennsylvania, I was just mentioning this to a couple of people that were asking about Bigfoot. Pennsylvania is the home of the mini Bigfoot. And the mini Bigfoot only resides in Pennsylvania, and it's certain parks where it lives in apple trees. And people who go underneath the apple tree to do whatever it is they do get pelted by half-eaten apples, and that's how they know that there's a mini Bigfoot in the tree. And they either take blurry pictures or they run away.
Yeah, a blurry picture.
Yeah. So speaking of Pennsylvania, I wanted to get this segue in here. The next Bigfoot story comes from Pennsylvania. Now, people in Pennsylvania are going through their parks, and they're finding these signs on the trees. And I'll read it to those of you who are listening in. This is warning: due to encounters in the area of a creature resembling Bigfoot, we're instructing all park visitors to observe elevated park etiquette. be cautious of your surroundings, and to keep the location of any small children and pets within a tighter scope of awareness. Do not approach the creature. Now, I've seen signs like this. I've been to Pennsylvania. I've seen signs like this before, but it's usually about Browns fans coming to Steelers games. Keep your children away from them. But this is so now this looks pretty official, doesn't it? It says
Sure, it does. It does.
Yeah. The Pennsylvania Department of Conservation denies putting them up. They said they have absolutely no idea where this comes from. In fact, they even went so far as to say Bigfoot does not exist, which of course Bigfoot, completely objects to that statement right there.
Me too.
Yeah. So I thought this was interesting. For those of you that can't see it, the sign is in English and it's in Spanish. Do you know, without looking, because you could see it right here, what the Spanish name for Bigfoot is? It's El Giganto Chupacabra.
Oh, yes.
No, it's not. You could read it right
Bigfoot.
there. It says Bigfoot. That's right. The Spanish word for Bigfoot is Bigfoot. How unclever is that?
Unclever.
Well, trans is used when I'm reading stories from Eastern Europe about strange things, and so I put Bigfoot, but now I into Google translate into Spanish, and what comes out is Pi Grande, P-I-E, Pi Grande. So pi means foot, obviously, and grande is
it's large.
big.
Yep.
Yeah. We got that. We learned that at Starbucks.
Yeah.
So the other line I liked on here is don't post a location of Bigfoot on social media, which is the whole purpose of social media, to post things like you saw Bigfoot. I mean, if I went to Pennsylvania, I saw Bigfoot. First thing I do is take a blurry photo and post it. And then, then I take Bigfoot out to eat, and I post a picture of what we're eating, because that's what you do on Facebook. You post food, you post pictures of your friends. So that's what I would do. Though anyways, it's still unexplained who put that warning about Bigfoot up there. Now, one more Bigfoot story. This one comes from, this is a poll from the YouGov people. They found that 34% of Americans polled believe UFOs are alien ships, while only 32% believe that they have a scientific explanation. So, if you listen to our show long enough, I think you'd agree that there's a lot of people who believe in UFOs. So I'm not surprised at that. 66% think aliens are more technologically advanced than human. Now, even John knows that. If they can fly billions of miles at the speed of light, they're obviously more technologically advanced than we are, right?
Well, that would stand to reason, sure. I mean, even I know that, like you said. I mean, so yes.
Yeah. So yeah, even I know that. So the 44% believe that aliens come in peace. I don't know if I believe that one. And this is the final one. More Americans believe in aliens than believe in Bigfoot and the Yeti, which is another Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and chupacabras. More people believe in space aliens than in Bigfoot. I'm not sure if I believe that either, because there's Bigfoot believers everywhere. Bigfoot's seen in every state. So I did some checking, and I found one more poll, and that is that a majority of aliens and Bigfoot say they don't believe in polls either. So,
What about is fair play?
Yeah.
There you go. That's right. Fair is fair. Okay, now this was a big story for me on Facebook this week. For those of you tuning in for the first time, I do post a number of photos and short items on Facebook during the week to kind of test them out. Though this was a big one. So a British gardener by the name of Derek Home has a garden, a vegetable garden in his little plot by his flat in Stoke-on-Trent. I have a couple of British stories. I love British names. Stoke-on-Trent. I have no idea what that means. He watered his garden so well and mulched the soil and tickled the worms. I don't know what else you do. And he grew a world record plant. This is for you, John, a world record plant. That is the world's longest leek. Now, you can see it says 1.432 meters. The leek is, which I believe is 56 inches, almost 5 feet. Now, these two guys are obviously not real tall, because the leek seems to be far taller than they are. Mm-hmm. But they're holding it up right there, the world's longest leek. My longest leek, to contrast that, was when my father finally stopped the car after driving to Florida. Then I had my longest leek. So,
yeah.
Okay.
But, he didn't cook it. That would have probably made some good eating right there. However, did you know, this is we get to the trivia portion of our show. Did you know leeks are mentioned in the Hebrew Bible? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament. It's in the book of Exodus, of all places. The people, and I don't know if either one of you remember this, biblical scholars that you are. The people in the story asked Moses why it was taking so long to cross the desert, and he said it was because of all those stops for leeks. But seriously, folks, it really is mentioned in the book of Exodus.
Okay.
Yeah, it says, "Who will feed us meat?" These are, again, the people asking Moses, "Who will feed us meat? We remember the fish we ate freely in Egypt, along with the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. But now our appetite is gone. There's nothing to see but this manna," which is the food from God. They're supposed to be, appreciative of this food. And instead they're yelling at Moses because he didn't bring any leeks for them to eat.
And I thought manna was supposed to taste like whatever you thought it was. That's what I learned.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're much more of a biblical scholar than I am, Karen.
Well, I'm not a biblical scholar. I just remember that from Sunday school. So.
Oh, okay. Well, what this means is that leeks, and this is scientifically proven, leeks pretty much originated in Egypt, as did watermelons. I think we talked about this once before. So leeks are a product of ancient Egypt. They were then picked up by the Romans, and this is for you, John. Leeks were eaten in ancient Rome and regarded as superior to garlic or onions. And I do a lot of cooking. I like to cook with leeks. I think leeks are very tasty. So, but by the way, the leeks were mentioned in a cookbook, in a Roman cookbook from the 1st century called Apicius. I'm gonna need to find a copy of this to see what else is there. But can you think of any Italian dishes that contain leeks, John? Before I let you know.
No, I really offhand I don't, and obviously with the garlic and onion, that's all very Italian. But I can't recall myself personally having.
Well, there's spaghetti and leeks. There's leek pizza. There's cannoli stuffed with leeks.
Oh. I don't know about that.
And leek soup. None of those are real. Leek soup is real.
Yes.
Speaking of leek soup, I know I'm belaboring this. I know everybody's saying, "Okay, will you get on with something else already?"
Yeah, would you get on with something else?
Thanks, Karen.
Raw leeks. One more thing for our historians out there. Raw leeks were the favorite food of Emperor Nero, who not only fiddled while Rome burned, but he also drank leek soup. Because he believed that it would help the quality of his voice, which actually earned him the nickname Porophagus, I believe is pronounced, which means leek eater. Now, if you look it up, Google Emperor Nero, don't Google leek eater. That will get you something you don't want to see. Anyways, all right, let's move on from leeks to another food. I think this is one of the major food groups, Cheetos.
It's a favorite snack. I don't know if it's a food group.
I would say I think I remembered we talked about this before, and John is a big fan of Cheetos. Karen, you like Cheetos?
Yes, I am.
No, I don't.
No, okay. I like Cheetos too. So cheese lovers, start booking your trips to Cheetle Canada, which is in Alberta, where the makers of Cheetos, the orange snack, have erected this statue right here. That is they call it the Cheetle hand statue. But this is far beyond life size. These are like 15 or 20 foot fingers. Yeah, 15 to 20 foot fingers. For those of you who can't see it, stone fingers holding a big orange Cheeto, which is another 10 or 15 feet in the air. The trees are dwarfed behind it. And of course, to make it realistic, the fingers are covered with the orange dust.
Boy, that is amazing.
Isn't that something? I didn't know this.
Would you like one for your backyard, John?
Oh yeah.
I don't think Annette would go for that. I don't think that it would go.
I think the pigeons would.
And also all the birds in our backyard. The crows would have a feast day on that. Oh yeah, no kidding.
Just to show you how my mind thinks, I'm thinking there's something missing from this photo, and I realized if I had erected this statue in my backyard, I would put another statue up next to it of the big tongue of the Rolling Stones licking the fingers. Right? That would have made it more realistic.
Right? Sure. Wow.
Now I learned, and we're all going to learn something here, and that is that Cheetos call that dust that comes on your fingers Cheetle, Cheetle. That's a real term for the dust that they spray or paint or whatever it is they do to get on Cheetos. So and it's addictive. This is a scientifically proven thing. This is for you again, John. If you wonder why you open the bag and next thing you know, the bag is empty and your face is covered with orange dust, Oxford did a study on it, and they said that the brain associates the crunching sound with freshness. Did you ever wonder if your Cheetos were fresh or not?
No,
I don't know. I think they always have the same consistency. So
I know. Yeah. Cheetos don't stay on the shelf long enough to get stale, I think.
Right. I think that's right, Paul. I think that's right.
It. The crunchiness makes you think you're eating fresh food and that it's good for you and more appetizing than it really is. Cheetos were invented. Here we go. Another trivia. Cheetos were invented in 1948 by Charles Elmer Doolittle, who also invented the Frito. So this guy should be a god in the snack food section of your grocery store. They should have a statue of him there. He marketed it and it sold out like overnight. So they didn't know what to do because he didn't have enough manufacturing capability to meet the demand. So he went to his friend, and his friend's name, I want to make sure I get it correct. His friend's name was Herman W. Lay. And Herman W. Lay made potato chips. So he went into business with his buddy who had the equipment but didn't have a good product. And together they made the Cheeto and eventually merged the two companies together into Frito-Lay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which no longer exists. Now it's part of Pepsi or I forget.
PepsiCo, I think. PepsiCo.
Yeah. Now, John, do you have a favorite flavor of Cheetos, or are you just a fan of the original?
I am a fan of the original because anything that's not the original for me doesn't make it happen. I mean, there's all the flaming hot ones, and there's all these other ones, right? And that I constantly pass up in the grocery store. But I'm an original Cheetos guy, so
I'm glad you brought up the flaming hot Cheetos, because there's a great story behind that. A janitor working at Frito-Lay used to put hot sauce on his Cheetos. And one day,
oh no,
seriously, one day he thought, we should be selling these. See, I like them. Maybe other people would like them. He went to the CEO of Frito-Lay and gave him a bowl of Fritos with hot sauce on them. He liked them so much, they marketed the product. And that man, his name is Richard Montanez, was promoted from janitor to executive vice president at Pepsi. So now, you talked about strange flavors. Cheetos, it's sold in 36 countries. So they modify the flavors for whatever country. So I've got a couple of strange flavors for you, John, and everybody out there. To see if you can tell what country this is popular in. Fizzy Pepsi flavor. No
Mexico.
idea. Japan.
Japan. Okay.
Ketchup flavored. Poland.
Oh.
Ham and cheese. I have a photo of the ham and cheese Cheetos bag right here. Little ham and cheese picture in the corner there. Also a popular flavor in Poland. Strawberry.
Strawberry Cheetos.
Strawberry Cheetos, yeah.
Oh,
Popular in Russia. Don't ask me why. Peanut covered Cheetos. That's the most, and I love peanut butter and Cheetos, but not together. All across Eastern Europe, that's a very popular flavor. And finally, Japanese steak. And before you say Japan, that's a popular Cheeto in China, not in Japan.
wow.
Oh, wow.
Figure that.
Cheetos. Oh my gosh.
Now, I mention this all the time. We have a number of loyal listeners down in Texas. Our buddy Mark in Austin, and Steeler Girl and Tex Chick in Houston, and then we've got fans all over the place in Texas. So this is for you guys down there. A man in California filed a class action lawsuit against Texas Pete hot sauce, and I got a picture of the Texas Pete bottle there, so you know that Texas Pete looks like a cowboy. Important for this story. He's suing Texas Pete hot sauce because he found out that the product is actually made in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So he claims it's false advertising, and that's what he's suing the company for. So if he have a comment on that?
No, I was just going to say it's. I guess it's his legal right to do that. So.
Well, it's his right to sue, but does he really have a leg to stand on here?
Oh,
I don't think so.
That's nice play on words there. I don't know.
Well, okay. So think about this: if you can sue Texas Pete because it's not made in Texas, what about the fact that there's no buffalo in buffalo wings? Can you sue them?
Oh, yeah, you could. Yep.
Yeah.
You opened up a Pandora's box here, Paul.
But you better believe it, John. I got a whole list of them. There's no crab in crab apples. There's Hawaiian Punch was not invented in Hawaii. It was invented in a garage in California. How about that?
Well, that's sort of close to Hawaii.
Karen, you're right, but it's not exactly the same.
Oh, okay.
Well, since I did a little research on this one, by the way, we got a bunch of trivia today. Do you remember the original slogan for Hawaiian Punch, John, Karen, or anybody out there?
Oh, I can visualize the commercial.
Yeah, I spoiled it here. I put it up here. How about a nice Hawaiian Punch?
Yeah, that's it. Right.
So those two guys were invented by an advertising agency in 1962, and this is the part that, for those of us of a certain age, the two characters, their names were Punchy, obviously for the one that did the punching, and Oaf for the one who received the punch. The voice for Punchy, who said, "How about a nice Hawaiian Punch," was Ross Martin. Now, John, does that name ring a bell to you, Ross Martin?
Yeah. Yes, it does, because Ross Martin was a key figure or key character in Wild Wild West.
Wild West, that's right. He was the, I don't remember what his name was on the Wild Wild West.
His name, then, I can tell you, his name was
Artemis Gordon. There you go. Thank you.
Sure.
So he said, "Hey, how about a nice Hawaiian Punch?" And the other guy said, "Sure." And then he punched him. We were easy to please back in 1962.
That's right. That's very true.
You can't do that today. That would be violence.
It would be violent.
Karen, that's right. That would not fly. That would not fly
Karen.
at all.
And to contrast the times, in 1962, the first show that this commercial ran on was The Tonight Show. The host of The Tonight Show at that time was Jack Parr. That tells you how far back in history that was. Yeah. And Jack Parr liked that commercial so much, he said, "Let's play that again. The second time is free." So he actually he loved it so much he played it twice. And you're right, that wouldn't fly these days at all. Okay, here's one from around the world, from I lost it, from Pakistan. I'm sorry, from Pakistan. This is the world's highest automated teller machine, ATM, which is on the border between Pakistan and China. It is wind powered and solar powered, installed by the National Bank of Pakistan at the Kunjarab Pass at an elevation of 15,400 feet. So this particular picture was during the summer. I had a winter picture, but you couldn't even see it. It was all boarded up and covered with snow. And I wanted you to see. Yeah, the big sign said bragging about it. Who would go to an ATM machine at 15,000 feet in altitude, you may ask?
And what would you need to buy up there with money?
Oh, very good. Good question. The people who would be using it are border guards. The border guards on both sides.
Oh, okay.
They're
Makes
both
sense.
allowed to use it, apparently. Even though the border's there because Pakistan and China don't necessarily get along, there are stores up there that they can spend their money. So that's what they do. They get their paycheck and they go and they cash it there, and they get it in cold hard cash because it's freezing up there.
So to speak.
In fact, you can get cash out of here even if your assets are frozen. So
Nice segues, Paul, today. Nice segues.
yeah, I know. Bigfoot didn't like that one. Bigfoot, wait till you hear the next one. So this one comes from Japan. This is the world's longest keyboard. Now, all of us, the three of us I know are sitting in front of keyboards right now. Many of you may be as well. You've never seen a keyboard quite like this one. This is from Japan, and this is the world's longest keyboard. Instead of being 4 rows like the normal QWERTY keyboard, this is one long row with the keys in the order as they appear left to right, top to bottom on the QWERTY keyboard.
You're right.
Yeah. So it's called the Kibu or gourd bar version. So because it's a bar. And it was made by Google of Japan, and had the keys in a line. So they say it's good for maintaining social distancing because it's about 5 feet wide, and it's a full keyboard plus special characters. For me, the only character I would hit would be the escape key because I would have to get away from this.
All right, very good.
Give me a normal keyboard here, 5 feet long. It's a workout. If you think about it, you're moving back and forth, and and you can tell this is from Japan because built into it in the top is a chopstick rest. So only in Japan would you build a keyboard A that's 5 feet long and B that has a little resting place for your chopstick. Now, also in Japan. Company in Japan is building a convenience store made completely out of ice. This is it. It's the Seiko Mart, I believe it's called. So this is a picture of it here. This is a guy or a mother and a daughter apparently, or a young girl. They're standing in front of shelves made completely out of ice with bottles of soft drinks, wine, ice cream cones. There's even looks like some Japanese Cheetos in there, but they must be frozen. The entire place, and I don't know if that includes the cash register, but everything else is made completely out of ice.
But why?
Because it's cold.
Good question, Karen.
The city, yeah. This is. Oh, by the way, if you translate the Japanese name of it, it means 711 degrees below zero. The reason why is because this store is so high up in altitude in Shimekapu, which is high in the mountains. Temperature can drop to 30 degrees Celsius, minus 30 Celsius or minus 22 Fahrenheit. So they have a number of facilities there. They have a hotel made out of ice, but this is the first convenience store made out of ice. They also, one of the products there is this right here, which is a, if you like ice, this is called the Ice Chef, which is frozen yogurt served in a dish made out of ice. Frozen yogurt dish made. I get a headache just looking at this. That's how, really. Why would you want to eat something like this?
Well, it's a challenge, obviously.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just you're in a building that's made out of ice. It's 22 degrees below zero. I can just see people. They get their Slim Jims, and they go to lick their Slim Jim, and their tongue sticks to it. Like the flagpole scene in A Christmas Story, and
Wow.
they pull the Slim Jim off. And so, anyways, so I know we've got some gamblers out there because we talk about gambling all the time on Bluff, the co-host, which has wagering allowed. If you want to get lucky in gambling, go to do what this guy did in Thailand. He went to looking through ponds and he found a six-legged frog. Yeah, six-legged frog. There he is right there. There's I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, but he's got a frog in his hand with two big long legs in the back, two small legs in the front, and then two smaller legs above the small legs in the front.
Yeah.
He said this is a female frog. He found it a year ago on his doorstep. Since then, he has had a tremendous amount of good luck, especially when he goes gambling and he bets on number 6 because it has 6 legs. You know, it makes sense.
Go figure.
I'm thinking if he really wants to get lucky and make a lot of money, he should kiss the frog, turn it into a 4-legged woman, and people would pay a fortune to see that, right? John would.
I'm flabbergasted. I don't know what to say about that.
or open up a restaurant, because if you got 6 legs, that's
he can be very busy in there. That's right.
There you go. Now, what does that remind you of? Kissing a frog remind you of the famous story of the princess who kissed the frog, right? Do you know where that comes from? I did not know. I had to look it up, but before I'll ask everybody out there. You can shout into your cell phone.
I do not. I have no idea. I could not tell you.
Where the story came from? Kissing a
where
frog?
did the story come from?
From somebody's imagination.
There you go. A good guess for questions like that is the Brothers Grimm, because they wrote so many of the famous fairy tales. And sure enough, they wrote the Frog Prince, it was called. And we've talked about the Brothers Grimm on the show and how grim they actually were. They lived up to their name. In their tale, a spoiled princess reluctantly befriends the Frog Prince, who is a frog, who was turned into a frog by a wicked witch. So all that part is true. She dropped a golden ball into the pond, and the frog found it and took it to her, hoping to make friends with her. So in the original Grimm version of the frog, of the Frog Prince, instead of kissing him to turn him back into a prince, the frog's spell was broken when the princess threw the frog against a wall. Wow. That's your Grimm brothers for you.
Yeah.
By the way, this version is also favored by Meghan Markle.
Really?
And she has a whole list of princes she wants to throw against the wall.
Yeah.
Starting, I'm sure, with her father-in-law. But anyways, and then her brother-in-law.
Interesting story, Paul. Very interesting.
I couldn't believe that. Okay, let's get into some time travel here. Now, I've talked about time travel before. I'm going to take this down for a second here because I want to surprise you with the next picture. We talked about time travel. In generally, it's these people with TikTok videos. They say they're from the year 2700, and they're warning us that in November, aliens are going to come and take us all to Disney World. And that day comes around and it never happened. So this came up this week, and this is a popular one. People who I lost my train of thought here. So there are people who look at. I know that's right. The train left without me. People who believe in this. So there's one guy, Javier. He says, and we've talked about him before. He says he's from the year 2027, but he's actually from the year 2021, and was sent to 2027, where there's no people anymore. He's the lone survivor. He's the only person there. He claims he just woke up in a hospital, and he goes wandering around, and there's pictures of deserted streets. And so, he's good at obviously he's good at manipulating pictures. Some people think that he might be a security guard, and it allows him to get into places where he can take pictures when nobody is around. So people challenge him and they say, if you're the only person there, why don't you go do something destructive? Go find a car and blow it up or drive it or something. There's nobody there, right, John?
Sure,
That's,
right.
that's the way I think.
Sure.
So somebody told him to go to a military base and do something. So that's exactly what he did. He went to a military base, and he was in he walked around the runway. He went into a hangar. He went up to a helicopter. He even got in the helicopter and showed himself, his lower half, because he never shows his face, sitting in the seat. Never turned it on, never messed with anything, never stole anything, So I have a problem with him. But this is
Why, you wanted him to steal something?
yeah, so to prove that he's actually in the year 2028. Find a piece of newspaper or something. So now, but this is my favorite story. So there's another group of time travel people who look at old photographs and paintings for signs that someone traveled back in time instead of forward, like this guy. I want to show you this picture because this is one that came up this week, of a what people believe is a painting of a young girl using a cell phone, walking through a forest down a path, and she's texting on her cell phone as girls do today when they walk down the sidewalk. The difference is this painting was made in 1860. It's called The Expected One by Ferdinand Waldmuller. Now, take a look at that, and you tell me, John and Karen, does that look like she's using a cell phone?
It appears to me that's what it is. Yes.
Yeah. Karen says it looks like one too. That she's even, I'll show you the bigger picture here. This is just like modern time, paying any attention to where she's walking, coming up to a bunch of stones and a trip over because she's looking at whatever it is in her hand. Plus, there's a guy hiding in the bushes, which I hope is someone who's going to surprise her with flowers rather than mug her and take her cell phone.
Really?
So it turns out they checked this out, and the painting really shows her holding a prayer book, and she's praying as she walks through the forest. Okay,
she's praying that this guy doesn't propose to her.
Doesn't propose to her. What don't you like about him, Karen? Doesn't he have enough flowers in his hand?
No, not enough. No,
not enough. Not a full bouquet of.
Let's hope that he knows who the woman is. Let's hope that he does.
You think? I don't know. Hard to say. It is a treacherous path. She should be looking where she's going. So now here's another one. Now this one is this is another couple. This is a woman sitting by a window, and her male suitor comes in, and he looks like he's looking at his cell phone as he walks into the room. This painting is from 1670. 1670. It's called. Wait, I'm not going to tell you what it's called. Does it look like a cell phone to you?
It's
hard to tell, but maybe.
Yeah, it appears that way.
Okay, so people are going into a museum, and they are looking at this, and they're yelling for the curators to come over because they swear that this guy is looking at a cell phone. Now, if they went down to the bottom of the painting, the name of the painting is right underneath it, and it's called "Man Handing a Letter to a Woman in the Entrance Hall of a House." So he's handing a letter to a woman. He's not holding a cell phone. So you tell that to them and they say, oh, well, the painter was in on the ruse. He knew that this was a time traveler. So he named it Man with a Letter, not Man with a Cell Phone, because nobody would get it back then.
Well,
hoping to trick us fools in the year 2022 into thinking that in 1670, some guy went back there and had a cell phone in his hand. So, I mean, I don't know. If I went back to the year 1670 or even the 1800s, I don't think I would sit around long enough for somebody to paint a picture of me holding a cell phone. I'd do something fun like they did in Back to the Future.
Sure. Yeah, that stands to reason also, Paul.
Yeah. All right. I want to hurry up with real quickly here with my Marilyn Monroe story, because this is right out of today's news. And I don't know, have either of you seen the new Marilyn Monroe movie, Blonde?
I have not.
Not yet.
You've heard about it, though.
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very well done, very depressing. The woman who played Marilyn is Ana de Armas, who is Cuban, and yet she portrays a blonde, blue-eyed, English speaking without an accent Marilyn Monroe. So I've seen some interviews of her, and she talks about the fact that they were haunted by the ghost of Marilyn Monroe during the shooting. In fact, she felt that she was at one time possessed by the ghost of Marilyn Monroe. Well, why would Marilyn Monroe's ghost bother them? I looked it up. It turns out that they filmed it on the anniversary of Marilyn Monroe's death. The filming started on the anniversary of her death. Not a good thing to do. The first scenes were filmed in the apartment where she lived with her mentally ill mother. Again, probably not a good thing to do. And the death scene at the end, sorry if I spoiled it for anybody, was shot in the same room where Marilyn Monroe actually died.
No, boy.
I wouldn't do any of those things. It's like building your stadium on a Native American graveyard. You just don't do things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
there's a
so-
guy in California, Scott Michaels. He runs the Dearly Departed tours, and he goes around to cemeteries and to places where people have seen ghosts. He claims that Marilyn Monroe's ghost is the #1 ghost in Hollywood. She's the holy grail of ghosts, he calls her. You see her everywhere. So one place is at her crypt, obviously, at Westwood Village Memorial Park, where they see a pink cloud over her crypt. Another place is the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel on Hollywood Boulevard, where she stayed. And the room where she stayed in has people have seen her ghost. There's also a bowling alley. They hear her laughing in the bowling alley. She used to like to go down there and bowl, called the Spare Room. And then she's also seen on the Santa Monica Pier. She used to disguise herself and go down to the Santa Monica Pier and watch families with children because she was jealous. And she liked to see people having fun. So she would go down there, and there was a carousel called the Hippodrome, in the Hippodrome. And there was a giant carousel there with mirrors. And she would go there in particular to watch kids going around on the carousel. And they say to this day that if you go, and it's still there, if you go there and you look in the mirrors of the Hippodrome, of the carousel, you can see her image as it's going around.
Wow.
So yeah, they call her the hardest working ghost in Hollywood because she's seen it.
Be true.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty interesting. That's the tragic story. Wonderful movie, wonderful performance by Anna, who has done a lot of other things, but this is her final.
Most recent
hit right now. Yeah, if she doesn't get an Academy Award for this, most people would be surprised. So, okay, so there's our weird and funny stories for the week, which means it's time for What in the World of Sports with John Donalo, all the way from Florida this week.
Wow.
So here's how sportish John is. I asked him how I think he mentioned before how the house where he's staying escaped the hurricane. But one thing did happen, and I hope you don't mind my telling this story, John. But the one piece of damage was a golf ball was flung by Hurricane, whatever, Ian, was it Ian?
Ian,
yeah. Ian flung a golf ball through the window because Ian knew that John would be there to pick it up. So very sporty damage to John Donalo's house down there.
There's something in the air. Let's put it that.
So anyways, every week I ask John to come up with a strange sport that most of us, probably all of us, have never heard of. Maybe something we could participate in. Certainly something that we could maybe start a team ourselves and enter Cleveland, our hometown, in it. And John never ceases to amaze me. Always finds an unusual one. Wait till you hear the one he's got this week. You won't believe it. You won't believe it's a real sport, and yet it is. So, John, why don't you take it away, and I'll get your photos lined up over here for you.
Sounds good, Paul. Thanks again for the introduction. So, our unique sport this week is bottle kicking. Now,
Bottle kicking. That's right.
Now, this is pretty self-explanatory, but with a twist. The bottle that most of you normally would think of is not that kind of bottle. Let me explain. Bottle kicking is an old British custom, of course, from England, that takes place in the village of Halton every Easter Monday.
Easter Monday. Okay.
Easter Monday.
Easter
It is
Monday,
an,
right, day after Easter.
yes, it is an outdoor sport that is played across an entire 1 mile playing area. And it
Wow.
involves two teams attempting to move a wooden barrel known as the bottle. It's a wooden barrel across the
Barrel, but it's called a bottle. Okay.
across
Alcohol is obviously involved with this sport.
yes, alcohol is involved. Yes, across the opposing team's stream at the far end of the area.
Okay.
Okay, so for a little bit of historical background, records of bottle kicking date all the way back to the late 18th century, but the custom originally is thought to have started much earlier, actually before the birth of Christ.
Wow.
Yes. Now, local lore claims the custom began when two ladies who lived in the town of Halton, they were saved from a charging bull. The bull was bearing down
Bull
on
in England. A bull in England.
yes.
Okay.
The bull is bearing down on the ladies. Get ready for this. A startled rabbit then distracted the bull. And because the rabbit did that, the ladies showed their gratitude to God for sending the rabbit by, again, donating a gift of land to the church with the understanding that every Easter Monday, the local vicar of the church would provide a rabbit pie, 12 penny loaves of bread, and 2 barrels of ale for the poor of the village. So therein is where the alcohol is contained within the bottle.
Easter. So they were saved by the rabbit from God. And
No, the bull. Wait. The bull was charging. The bull was charging
Yeah.
the ladies. Okay, and so the ladies were saved by the rabbit who startled the bull.
Startled the bull. So they were
discharged because of the rabbit.
and they believed that and God sent the rabbit to scare the bull.
That's right.
And they
So-
must have been, and so they ran to the vicar and said, "You're not going to believe this. In fact, you won't. Here's some beer, and here's some money. We
Wait.
want to have this celebration every year." Do I have that straight?
Yes, that is the history of it.
Wow.
No,
Okay. But wait, there's more.
Yeah, there is more. It gets even more British. It gets even more British. Not only did the villagers of Holliton fight over the food and the beer, residents of the nearby village of Medbourne joined the fight and actually stole all of the ale or the beer. Despite that, the event today is a friendly rivalry between the two villages.
To this day. So the two cities have this competition.
It's a friendly rivalry, right? It's a friendly.
On Easter Monday.
On Easter Monday.
After the holiest day of the Christian calendar.
That's right. Well, and I'll take you through a typical day on Easter Monday. It begins with a parade through Medbourne and Holliton, and the locals carry a large rabbit pie and 3 bottles. Now, 2 of the bottles are filled with beer, but the third is called the dummy, and it is made of solid wood, and it is painted red and white. And I have no idea why it is painted red and white, and I have no idea why it's solid. I couldn't find any information.
Nor do we have any idea why it's called a bottle instead of a barrel or a
barrel.
keg.
Well, it's a container. It's a container.
Yeah, it's about the size of a little beer keg.
Yeah, like a little keg, exactly.
A little keg.
Right,
Yeah,
sure.
okay.
But so then the
So the
pie,
parade. We're looking at pictures of
that's the parade, right.
people parading, carrying these bottles or
Right.
barrels.
Right. So then the pie is then blessed by the Halliton vicar before being cut apart and thrown to the crowd for what is called the scramble. It's
pie
called the
scramble.
scramble.
Okay.
Okay, so then you have the kickoff, and there are virtually no rules to the bottle kicking except that there is no eye gouging, no strangling, and absolutely no weapons of any kind.
No
Now,
weapons. Oh, that's
No
good.
weapons, no knives, no guns, no.
So now, Karen, this photo is up here for you. You can see that this is obviously a violent sport. This guy
Yes.
back in the corner on the left-hand side. His face is all bloody. This is-
Yeah.
This is not basketball or American football. There's no helmets. There's no pads.
There's no equipment to protect these guys.
No equipment whatsoever. None.
So now each bottle is then tossed into the air 3 times, and that actually signals the start of the competition. That is actually what is viewed as the kickoff.
Okay. The kickoff.
Well, and think of this: you have a mile of area.
Oh my God.
No, wait. You have a mile-long playing field. It's a mile long.
Mile long.
I mean, anything can go in that distance. I mean, in an area that large.
And they're basically they're just fighting over these 2 little barrels.
Well, yeah,
Carry them from one side to the other.
Right. Each team, they try to move the bottles over such obstacles in this 1 mile area.
Obstacles. Oh, no.
Wait. Ditches, hedges, and even barbed wire. Now, and this is done by any means possible. By any means possible, these contestants try to move these bottles, again, through those obstacles and get it to the stream where the other team's headquarters is, or home bases, for lack of a better word. Now, broken bones are commonplace, and there are also emergency services available. So don't be concerned that these guys are in this kind of brutal competition and not going to be taken care of. They will be. Now, it is a best of 3 contest, but the best part is sharing the beer kegs and, of course, rabbit pies at the end of the day. Now,
here we go. There's
they're having some fun.
Didn't see any women playing this sport, Karen.
No, I don't.
I don't think so. And this is more violent than wrestling.
Oh, well, I think
far more violent than wrestling.
Yes, it is, because it's real, Karen. This is like real competition. Now,
wrestling is not real.
Oh, well, we don't have time.
We don't have time to dive into that one. We'll let that one go. But wait.
Okay.
Fighting over beer and rabbit pies sounds like a fun way to celebrate the Monday after Easter.
Yeah.
But let's start a petition. And this is not my idea. Let's start a petition and see if Pope Francis agrees to it.
Oh, he's a sportsman? I think he would.
I know he's a sportsman, but I don't know if he would be aligned with this, Paul. And Karen,
I don't want to get into from my Eastern European background, there's plenty of weird customs for the day after Easter. This would be a lot more fun than those. So I think bottle kicking.
Right, bottle kicking. So again, you can find plenty of information on it on the internet. But the first I ever heard of it, the very first time I've ever heard of it, never knew anything about it before I did my research. So
well, interesting story as always, John. Bottle kicking from England.
Yep.
And when we first talked about this, I thought to myself, I've never heard anything like this. But then I thought back, John and I went to college together. We were in a fraternity together, and we drank a few beers together, and then we don't remember much after that. But I happened to find some photos of us participating in a sport, and the more I thought about it, it was very similar to bottle kicking. And I remember we were competing with other fraternities at the school, and I told John, we got to get in on this. And it's very similar to bottle kicking. I tried to explain it to John about the keg and about carrying the keg from one place to the other, but apparently I didn't do a good job. So John got the keg, but this is what he ended up with over here. So he put me in the keg, and then he was going to carry me inside the keg, which I don't believe is the game that we signed up for. Do you?
No, you know what though? But thinking of what I had to drink beforehand, I had all the strength in the world, or so I thought, so I could be able to carry you and the keg.
Well, right. And I would say that quite a bit of drinking was done while we were in college and in the fraternity, and in fact, all of our fraternity brothers had the same idea. There's a photo of a bunch of guys wearing barrels, which is pretty much what our fraternity was.
Love it.
So many of our brothers. Oh, Les in particular, one of our regular listeners. Les is also one of our frat brothers, and Dan, by the way. So my apologies. I hope you got a laugh out of that. Anyways, bottle
Very
kicking.
good, very good.
Sport for the week. Boy, that heat from Florida must be getting to you down there, John. Let's see if it's had an effect on your ability to play bluff the co-host, which is what we have coming up.
We'll see here. Let's see.
Everybody's favorite weird news game. I've got 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference. Those were real. These may be real. They may be a bluff. And it's up to Karen and John and those of you playing out there in podcast land to decide which one is real, which ones are bluffs. Wagering is allowed, so grab your lucky 6-legged frog. John and Karen, put your hands on the buzzards and let's get right to story number 1. If you would like to drive an electric car but think they're too expensive, so does a startup car company in Michigan. That's why it is working on the world's first electric car made out of cardboard. To keep the costs down, the company will allow customers to bring their own Amazon boxes to the factory to be compressed into all of the components of the body. The company claims compressed cardboard is stronger than steel. The bumpers and other non-cardboard parts will be made from recycled aluminum cans, which the customers also supply. To keep costs down, the entertainment center will be either a battery radio or an old cell phone, whichever the customer provides. The only thing supplied by the company is the battery, which will get 500 miles per charge because the cardboard car is so light. If you see a truck heading north to Michigan full of boxes and cans, it could be your neighbor going to get his new car. All right, the cardboard car made out of recycled cardboard and cans that the customers provide themselves. What do you say, John and Karen? Real or bluff?
Oh, I'm going to say bluff because all the regulations and making a car safe, I don't think you could do that with recycled cardboard.
Oh, good point. Good point. Very logical thinking there, unless they got approval from the government ahead of time.
Yeah, well, let's not even go there.
Okay. All right, John, what do you say? The cardboard electric car?
No, I agree with Karen. And also, not only the regulations about building the car, but what about vehicles as a cardboard card on an interstate freeway? I mean, let's be real here. I mean, forget where it was. Say, what if it was in a cold part of the country or in Canada? Be driving a cardboard car in Alberta, Canada. Come on, give me a break. I'm hoping and I'm praying that this is a false story, because if it's true, I'm going to really be having a hard time in the heat in Florida.
Did you ever ride in a Yugo? I mean, a Yugo was pretty close to being a car.
No. I've seen Yugos, but I can honestly say never had ridden in one. But a Yugo was made out of steel or metal. It wasn't made out of cardboard, was it?
No, it was not. No, but I do recall. I had a friend who had a Yugo, and he told me how they got that name, because he was trying to get on the freeway and he had to roll down the window and stick his arm out and say, "You go."
There we go. That's a good one, Paul. Very good segue. So
anyways, yeah, you both, I'm not even going to ask the judges. You both figured that one out. That was definitely a bluff. However, believe it or not, the Citron company is building a real cardboard electric vehicle, but nowhere near, not with Amazon boxes and cans. Okay, all right.
Where's my faith in mankind?
Karen and John, the score is 1-1. Oh, just a big change from the last couple of weeks. So
yes, it is.
I don't want to interrupt you in any way. Stop the flow of your mojo. Grab your 6-legged frogs and let's get to story number 2. There was a time not long ago when the only movie superhero was Tarzan, and the man of the apes didn't need to be bitten by a radioactive monkey to swing from tree to tree. Now, a fitness trainer who calls himself the Tarzan of Spain has created the Tarzan workout that requires no gym, just trees. Tarzan of Spain first teaches his clients how to climb trees and move from branch to branch safely. Using nothing but physical exertion and mental discipline, he then moves them to ropes and has them swinging from tree to tree in no time. The class is open to Janes as well as Tarzans, but no cheetahs are allowed. either of the chimp kind or those people who hide clamps on their hands and feet. All right, so the Tarzan workout from the Tarzan of Spain. Real or bluff? What do you say, sports guy John?
Well, you know what? This is a very lighthearted story, and I'm going to say it's real. I'm going to say it's true. I can see that there would be a person from Spain, whatever country it is, doing something like this. So I'm going to say it's real. I'm going to say it's a real story.
Would you try it?
No, not in my circumstance or my interest level. No, I would not. But
No
for
amount of beer.
no amount of beer will be able to influence me that way. But for young people or middle-aged people, fantastic.
Okay, all right. So John says that the Tarzan of Spain is real. How about you, Karen? The Tarzan workout.
Well, I'm hoping it's not, but I'm going to say it is because it
Oh.
just sounds a little off balance, like something you would make us out about.
Okay. All right. So you're hoping it's not, but you're saying it's real.
Yeah.
Okay, so Karen says it's real, John says it's real. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, congratulations again. That's a real story.
Whoa.
Wow.
Very good. We can't do any better right now.
Hey.
Wow.
can't do any
Okay.
better.
Well, yeah, well done for both of you. Okay, so scores 2-2. Points are doubled in round number 3. Let's see how they do. Let's see if we get a winner or a tie out of this one. Story number 3. Farmers in New Zealand say they want to fight climate change, but they don't like their government's new plan to do it. The country's prime minister announced plans this week to tax cow farts and sheep burps to pay for special equipment that will be installed near farms to capture the greenhouse gases in those farts and burps before it can get into the atmosphere. New Zealand is the first country in the world to put a price on farts and burps. And cattle and sheep farmers think that they're being unfairly singled out, especially since New Zealand forests are full of burping animals, and there's plenty of farting pet owners who don't have to pay either. Farm organizations plan to make this a referendum in the next New Zealand elections with a campaign that will have fart replacing that other 4-letter word. All right, so the tax on farts and burps of sheep and cows in New Zealand. What do you say, Karen? Real or bluff?
Oh, this better be a bluff. I mean, it's so outrageously ridiculous. How'd you come up and write a story like this?
Have you ever smelled a cow fight?
No,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
want to.
All right, so Karen says it's a bluff. I'm not even going to get into it. John, how about you?
Yeah, I'm with Karen on this 100%. I mean, first of all, it is ridiculous to me that you would try to be able to tax something like that. How can you tax something that is not even a solid? Or and I'll leave it at that. I'm saying let's just hope it's not a real story. I pray it's not a real story.
Okay. How can you tax something that's not a solid? I'm going to tell that to my accountant. He'll love it.
Really, think of that now. I'm going to tax this, but it's not. It's not a solid.
Okay.
Use your imagination. Use your imagination.
We get the idea, John. Okay, so John obviously thinks that this is a bluff. Karen also says it's a bluff. I'm going to check with the judges. I should be checking with the lovely Donna, because the lovely Donna provided me with this story this morning and said, this is perfect for Bluff the co-host. That is real news from New Zealand.
Oh my gosh, it
And
is.
What they do is they figure out how many farts per day each one of the animals does, and that's how they get around your gas limit, John.
Well, wait a minute. No, to Karen's point of being ridiculous, I mean, being like highly ridiculous. I'd like to find out how this works out. I really would. I'd like to see how the reporting of this is, and how I'm all fired up about this because how are these people? They have nothing better to do but to come up with this way of coming up with a tax source. A source of tax? Come on.
You know,
you must have been a farmer in your
thing
previous life.
that we're going to be taxed on. They're going to figure out how many we as humans do per day, and
Oh
then
my
we're
God.
going to be taxed for
Me-
that. So
I have
stop
done-
eating Mexican.
You're exactly right,
my.
Karen. I have done plenty of stories, and we are not as big of a source of methane as cows and sheep, but you're on the right track there, because that's entirely possible. So John, I'm sorry.
Hey, that's okay. You know what? I accept defeat. Okay, if I'm wrong, I'm
Oh,
wrong.
yeah, it was a tie. A tie is not defeat.
No, I tell well,
Only in
no,
America is a tie defeat. In every other country in the world, they're
no,
happy with a tie.
but this last story. Wait a minute. Of all the Bluff the co-host stories that we've had, which are numerous, okay, this could be the most frustrating one to me because I, I just find it incredible.
John, I
It's
think
kinda
you're
hard
getting
to believe.
sunstroke in Florida.
I just
No,
say,
I'm-
Karen, it's
you
a
know what,
good thing John is on vacation, so
I'm
he
on
can.
vacation. I'm gonna chill out. Okay, I'm gonna ease up. I'm gonna chill out, have a drink. I'll be okay.
There you go.
That
Put your
sounds
barrel
good.
on. Put your barrel on and relax.
I get the barrel on. I'll be good. I'll be fine.
Okay. Oh, we're beating this one to
Whoa.
death. I think that we have had another fun episode of What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our fabulous media mogul, producer, co-host, everything else that you do at newclevelandradio.net. Everybody go there, check out all the great podcasts that Karen had. Karen even got invited to appear on another podcast last night. So,
Yes.
this is if you want to get in on the ground floor of a big organization on its way up, newclevelandradio.net. Check it out. And as always, thank my good friend and old pal, John Dinalo. What in the World of Sports with John Dinalo. We're all jealous that you're down there in Florida. We're grateful that you suffered no damages. So enjoy yourself.
Thanks.
And,
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, we'll be back up in Cleveland in a couple days. So
all right.
for the show next week. So
We'll be back
Sounds
on
good.
Tuesdays next week for those of you listening live. And on that, we will say